Okay. Good morning. This is Jerry Gulke, columnist, top producer for Market Strategy, discussing today's usually all-important September 30th stocks report. And this is the report that kind of finalizes things for the year. These stocks won't change again until maybe next year when they find they made them a slight error, and by that time it'll be too late. But basically, you have the numbers on the web. And first of all, let's look at corn. Corn came in 100 million bushels less stocks on September 30th than what the average guess was. Basically, it looks like they moved ahead or actually used more old crop corn for feed because of the lateness of the crop coming in. And there's some other factors that are involved there that aren't out yet as to how they got to 100 million. But nevertheless, it could have been more corn for ethanol usage as well because stocks were short. Personally, in northern Illinois, my basis got to 10 under. And for any old crop corn, and that's unheard of considering we started the year out at 45 to 50 under last year, looking for all fall delivery last fall. So quite an improvement in basis, and showed just how hard it was to get corn late in the year. And there may be some thought in there as well that the crop was overestimated last year, and that may be in some of the analysis of the USDA as well. But nevertheless, we start the year then with 100 million bushels less. If you consider that, that's about based on about 160 bushel yield this year, that's about 750,000 less acres of corn available for next year than what we thought. Now, if they just move the feed ahead, then they may reduce feed usage on the October 9th report next week from Friday. But this bottom line on this is that this should keep carryover for next year below 2 billion, which is some had seen carryover going as high as 2.2 billion and some are at 1.6, but the best case scenario is if we get this 168 bushel yield for corn that looks like is coming, because we're seeing some unbelievable yields coming out of early corn, which is coming out of the south, of course. The fringe states have really put on ears this year. And out of Nebraska, we're seeing today, a client called it, and 255 bushel an acre, about 30 bushels better than normal. So that's running pretty much the same thing all the way through, except now we've got a frost that came this morning as far south as Harlan, Iowa, maybe even into Nebraska there was some. So we don't know the extent of that frost yet, but there's a good possibility that we could clip 300 million bushels in yield because the forecast is coming through now all the way through the 15th of October. It's going to be cold to very cold to windy and rainy. So if we clip another 300 million, we're down to about 1.6 billion bushels. And that keeps things pretty much in line with where we're at now, and we won't have a whole lot of extra surplus, and probably not real tight stocks unless the world economic situation gets better and we gain back a lot of the lost exports that we lost last year. So October 9th, the USDA will then translate these numbers into their new estimate of not only yield for corn, but also acres. And it's still my conjecture that our acres might be down 500,000. So there's a lot of yet unknown out there that we're going to have to wait another week to find out. So I don't see the market dropping a lot. I think any 25 or 30 cent move in corn, that's a knee-jerk reaction. And you're in an area that is in the south or is already not in harm's way. Might not be a bad time to price something and then turn out and buy it back on options later on. But this report today is good news for the end users as far as what they've been doing. Anyway, turning to soybeans, the big surprise there was we came in significantly more soybeans in hand, 32 million bushels more, which is just about 1 million acres. Again, the opposite of corn, where we have 1 million acres more beans on hand than before we even started 1 million acres. 750,000 in that area more on hand than we aren't even hardly started soybeans yet. So that'll add right on to the carryover for soybeans. Now, there's soybean yields have been coming in awesome, and if you figure 44 bushels an acre, which will be a record yield, is high. Some people dispute that. But at that point, with today's results, we get carryover over 300 million. This year we ended carryover at 130. We've been dancing around 110 all year. You've got to have the the Chinese continue to buy at these levels, and this would include about 100 million or about 80 million to 100 million more exports next year than last year. If that fails to follow through and China decides not to buy more, or these other nations that didn't buy last year don't increase their purchases, then you're pushing this soybean yield upwards to 350 to 400 million. That is not $8 or $9 soybeans. So I would look for a big increase in world production of soybeans, a big drop-off of U.S. exports after the middle of spring next year when South America gets on board, and look for soybeans possibly sometime in 2010 to get to $7.50. Again, all things being equal, and that we didn't kill many beans in this frost freeze, I think they're too far along to be any damage. So basically the report is supportive to neutral to friendly corn in the short run, and also it's bearish on soybeans. So with that, we'll end. Wheat is typical, and we've got high stocks in wheat. But here again, wheat's at $4 for a reason, and again, we'll probably find a lot less wheat planted this fall, maybe due to late spring, soybean harvesting, but whatever, wheat doesn't compete very well. For the first time that I can remember, I know of two people whose ancestors have been farming in North and South Dakota for decades until the mid-1900s. This will be the first year there will not be spring wheat planted there. We've gotten the prices so cheap and the discounts so wide that it takes 50 to 55 bushels an acre to break even, and that's not going to happen. Nobody's going to plant wheat at that level. So come spring, we'll see what we get, but right now I look for another 1 million to 1.5 million acres of soybeans, of wheat in North Dakota to go to soybeans and corn next year. With that, that'll do it for today, and we'll look forward to on the October 9th. Thank you, and have a good day.